every member of the Slaughterhouse Nine that we've seen has been just incredibly effective. Like, either they've had an excellent power or they've been Jack Slash.
Yeah. Welcome to Inchworm,
The podcast in which we're inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
and I'm Ted.
We read an interlude, the Cherish interlude.
Yes.
They got around the thing where we'd already done Regent.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit of a combo breaker.
I would like to say, I almost sort of predicted this.
You were
I was so close.
So right there. You made a lot of very good inferences.
I read the signs. I didn't quite get to the right answer, but I was in the neighborhood.
And you were right. Again, you were right. Like, Hookwolf would be a good fit. You were kind of like, oh yeah, well, Regent is the one. Kind of the only reason you went away from that was a metatextual reason.
That he's already had an interlude.
He's had an interlude.
Yeah. But, Cherish, it turns out, is connected to Heartbreaker.
Yes. Yes.
I called the sister thing when I wrote it down. When she tells the guy to stay, the first time she manipulates his emotions, and the first order she gives him is stay. And I was like, this is Regent's sister.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly because she operates like Heartbreaker. She doesn't operate like Regent.
Yeah.
But would you like to tell us about it before I talk more about predictions?
I would love to. So this interlude starts off with Cherish. She's a teenager. We learn later a little older than Regent. She's got boots and dyed hair with a red streak in it and a phone with earbuds, and she's listening to music, and it's kind of this refrain throughout the chapter, love me, you want to love me, kooky crazy, over and over and over again. She is jamming out to the music. We learned that she's kind of been listening to the same songs on repeat because she's making a point of everything she currently possesses is stolen. This is just kind of the thing that she's doing right now. She could get money and go buy things, but she is enjoying this sort of pattern that she's in. She's not in a rush. She's out past curfew, and a soldier stops her saying, Miss, what are you doing? It's dangerous to be out here. There are gangs, people who would prey on a pretty young woman. And she's like, you think I'm pretty? And he's like, my daughter's your age. She kind of pushes that issue, the flirtation, but he doesn't seem that responsive to it. And basically he's like, look, well, I could give you a ride to where you're going. My shift's almost over. Oh, I heard there's some fires downtown. So maybe the shift change is a little delayed, but they are just sitting in the car and waiting, making small talk. He's kind of like, where are you from? Are you from out of town? Why did you come to town? And she's like, well, I'm here because of, what just happened. And he's like, thrill seeking? Like, that's not only stupid, that's disrespectful. Then she's like, oh, the people I'm staying with? They're the Slaughterhouse Nine. I'm one of them. That's not funny. His voice went hard, any gentleness gone. It's really not, she agreed with a smile. And then we get really inside Cherish's head for the first time as she uses her power. She can sense the emotions of other people at a very long range away, each like an emotional fingerprint, a unique signature of a person. And she interprets the emotional makeup of people as music. So in this moment, she can sense, the rising anxiety and fear as he goes into fight or flight mode, but also things about this man's personality, his love of his family, that he might die soon and leave them behind, that he's angry at Cherish, worried that he might be overreacting. And she reaches out and wrenches the fear drumbeat in the music so that it overwhelms everything else. And he screams, drops his gun, and then she remixes his emotions again to make him compliant and obedient, and still a little bit afraid. She decides to drive. As she drives away, she realizes there are soldiers following her, and she remixes her companion's emotions again, basically to replace his feelings towards the other soldiers of camaraderie with ones of suspicion and paranoia, and really kicks up his fight or flight reflexes and says, okay, you can get your gun. For a second, he points the gun at her, and she's like, oh shit, I should have seen that coming. So she takes the time to do a little bit more rewiring so that he's kind of not focused on anything in his short-term memory, including her, and that if he did try to shoot her, it would be like shooting his own daughter. Once she gets to where she's going in the car, she gets out, she hears the soldiers pull up behind her, say, hey, hey, and as she walks away, she senses a negative spiral of emotion from the three soldiers, followed by several gunshots. And she thinks the authorities would have a hell of a time figuring out what happened there. She starts to think a little bit about what brought her to Brockton Bay. Apparently, the Slaughterhouse Nine was divided about whether they wanted to come. Burnscar and Bonesaw were into it. Jack Slash backed up Bonesaw. Crawler, Mannequin, and Siberian were indifferent. And in particular, Cherish and Shatterbird don't seem to get along. At the very least, Shatterbird doesn't like Cherish. But now that she's here, Cherish is like, Brockton Bay is interesting. People here are so deliciously fucked up. You know, people on the verge of doing things they never thought they would do before because they're so desperate. They're so on the edge of an emotional breakdown. And her reverie is interrupted by her music going away. It turns out her phone's battery is dying. And she's like, oh, crap, and dials a number on her phone. She then explains that she, as the person who finds people, on arrival to Brockton Bay, went looking for people with really outlier emotional states, like fingerprints that stood out, the most fucked up people in Brockton Bay. And she creates sort of profiles that she offers to the other Slaughterhouse Nine so they can choose who they want to target. I think we'll talk about the list of names here. Mm-hmm. But the person she wants to target, she didn't offer to the others because she already knew that that was going to be her target. She gets to what we find out is Regent's headquarters. There are some guards outside. And the way she deals with the guards, both inside and out, is to first make them feel a little bit disarmed and then dose them with a heavy surge of depression, guilt, and self-loathing before ordering to kill themselves. And because they're armed and they're feeling the strongest, worst emotions they've ever felt, they quickly shoot themselves in the head, and she is able to enter Regent's headquarters without being attacked. When she gets inside, she sees 4 people, 3 guards, and Regent. She's like, hey, Jean-Paul. And he's like, no, Alec and Regent.
Sorry, the funniest name he could have had.
We learn that her name is Sherry, but she's like, no, it's Cherish now. And they immediately get into a tug of war over Regent's 3 thralls. Regent has them completely physically locked down, but Cherish is trying to overwhelm their emotions, knowing that strong emotions can beat Alec's power when he's at a distance, when he's not paying attention. So during the rest of this dialogue, these 3 guards are they're like sweating, tearing up, like grunting and straining, but not moving. Very, very motionless. Occasionally one will kind of, lunge around, but they, throughout the scene, don't really manage to get these people to go to one side or the other. Alec wants to know if Heartbreaker sent her, the dirty old man. Cherish says no, she's doing her own thing. She left after Alec did. She got disappointed in Heartbreaker. He kind of got the family's enterprise busted up by a bunch of heroes after going out on a special mission to acquire a famous woman for his consorts. Cherish kind of implies she wanted him to be more ambitious than that. This was kind of a petty, thing to get in trouble over. After Cherish left, though, her brothers have been chasing her. Some of her older brothers basically trying to bring her back into the fold. Apparently now there are at least 10 of Heartbreaker's children that have powers, and 4 of them can control people. Oof. Cherish says one of the benefits of joining the 9 was so she could get Heartbreaker and the other kids off of her back. Alec is like, yeah, but that's dumb. And Cherish says, no, I took out Hatchet Face. That was me. Apparently Hatchet Face is a brute who nullifies powers.
Amazing.
Or at least he was. Since Cherish can work on him at range, she was able to, hurt him without him getting close enough to turn off her powers. And taking him out was her entree into the group. We learn a little bit more about the nuances of Cherish's power. One of the downsides of Cherish's power, which is incredibly strong, right? She has better range than Heartbreaker.
Oof, yeah.
That the power doesn't have a long-term benefit. It wears off, targets build immunity. So it's sort of strongest in these initial moments. And so Alex kind of like, I think I'm going to win the tug of war if we're at a stalemate. Regent, of course, used his power on Cherish a lot when they were growing up, and he still thinks he'll be able to use it on her effectively the same way he kind of threatened Sophia, like, once I've gotten in there, I know how your body works. Before Alec can really push the issue, Cherish reveals that she's wearing a bomb. The reason she's been dialing a phone every once in a while is because this bomb is rigged up with kind of a dead man switch on it so that if she doesn't call a certain phone number every 15 minutes, she blows up. And it's a big enough bomb that it would take out Alec and the thralls in his base, and sort of he's not going to leave the thralls behind. And so we got to get Cherish a phone so she can make this call so they don't blow up. And she's not that worried about the fact that she doesn't know exactly how long she's got left. Throughout all of this, Cherish is like, it's really interesting and exciting to her because Alec is so emotionally muted. And she's kind of tracking, like, is anything I'm doing getting a response? So yeah, there are little hints here and there. Is he more emotional than he used to be? Maybe. And suddenly Alec has an idea. He runs for one of his thralls who is armed. He's going to grab a gun and use that to take out Cherish. But Cherish notices, and before either of them can grab the gun, they end up just kind of like wrestling and fighting pretty ineffectively on the floor.
Should have paid more attention to Gru.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. But yeah. Rolling around on the ground like teenage siblings fighting would do. And she says basically, look, things got so much worse after you left. I have recruited you to the 9 as revenge. And he's like, I'm not interested. And she's like, no, that's not how it works. You're going to get tested no matter what. Also, a lot of the people on the 9 hate me, so I'm pretty sure they're not going to try to recruit you. They're just going to try to kill you. And Alex like, okay, like you're saying this makes us even? No, this is way worse than what I did by just leaving. She's like, well, you're not going to do anything about it. I can tell you have connections now. Mm-hmm. A team, maybe. And if you come after me, I'm going to go after them. And, ace up my sleeve, I can always run and tell Daddy where you are. Alex says, look, you think you're being clever. You just screwed me over, but I think you are screwing yourself over 10 times as bad. The 9, like what they do to people, those are fates worse than death. And this isn't going to end well for you. And she says, we'll see. She finds a phone on one of Alex's thralls, deactivates her bomb, at least for the next 15 minutes, and leaves. She is feeling confident and reveals to us in the last moments of the chapter that what Alec doesn't know is that her power does have long-term effects. Emotions, like drugs, can kind of build up dependencies and tendencies. So she has been hitting the Slaughterhouse 9 with a little bit of dopamine when she's around so that she can slowly over time, weeks, maybe months, condition them to be wrapped around her little finger. And that is where we leave the chapter.
I don't think it's going to work out that easily for her. I think she's overconfident. Yeah.
Can I read to you my favorite symbolic moment?
Yeah.
She drew a smartphone from the pocket of her jacket, then set to untangling the earbuds. How did the damn things always get so knotted together? They were like Christmas lights. Not that she'd ever untangled Christmas lights, but she'd heard how Christmas lights got tangled. She's in a tangle, and she's overconfident and inexperienced.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot in that. I feel like the symbolism in this chapter was really good. Like everything with the music. Like when she takes the earbuds out, it like sounds tinny and artificial. This
exactly.
Saying,
she's living in her head, right?
She's living in her head, and the way she makes people feel is fake.
Yeah.
And she gets people to love her, but none of it's real.
Yeah.
I feel like the tendency to prioritize thrills and lack of boredom over survival is a family trait.
Yes.
And
yes.
Alec does seem to have moved away from it somewhat, but like you can see the traces of it in him.
Yes.
And she's like, you know, her thing with phone, it's more interesting for her to have this risk, even if it is really risky. Like, can you imagine Taylor having that? She would have like 5 clocks counting down. She would call every 10 minutes just to be sure. She'd have 3 phones, all of which were charged.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's like jaw-dropping when she explains the bomb thing. You're like, what are you doing? Oh, the other bit that I love about that is, right, so on the reread, going through the chapter, her boots splashed as she danced a little circle, murmuring the words. The light drizzle had wet her hair, and she pushed it back out of her face, stretched her arms out, and let the raindrops fall against her closed eyelids. It wasn't as though she was in a rush. Like, she's wearing a freaking time bomb. Her phone's gonna run out of battery. What are you doing, Cherish?
Yeah, I mean, this family does not raise healthy children.
No.
I'm going to say, just as a blanket statement.
The other thing that jumped out to me, we're just like really getting in on it right away. She and Regent, I feel like, share a lack of identity, but in like different ways, right? Regent is like very burned out, and we see him living sort of feeling vicariously through his thralls. And she, on the other hand, is like so invested in the moment-to-moment thrill.
Yeah.
And her power makes other people feel things. And even though she has a lot of range, she wants to be up close so she can like see the reactions that she's getting from them. Right?
Yeah.
Like, she is so excited by the little micro expressions on Alec's face when she fully explains what she's doing there. And she, like, I feel like that's what she is living for.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have much of a plan herself, right? She's just going from one thing to one thing, you know, in a way that she feels completely unmoored. Yeah. Right? And she thinks she hates silence. That's why she needs the music, right? It's like very much like, I always got to have, you know, I always got to have my music on. I always got to be listening to a podcast. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts, right? Like,
yeah, neither of them has any foundation as people because they didn't have any foundation in their family, and their emotions were constantly being manipulated by their father, and they were being raised by people who had been manipulated into only caring about their father and didn't care about them. Like, it's so tragic. And we see here, Regent has thralls again. So I don't know if it was he just wasn't using thralls because he didn't want to be found, or if he got a taste of it with Sophia and that made him go back, or if he feels safer now, he can do it. Like, we haven't seen signs of a moral struggle from him.
Not at all.
I feel like possibly I might need to like lower my amount of optimism for him becoming like a decent person.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. Like, I really want him to become someone that I can like and get behind. He's definitely not there and doesn't seem to be moving in that direction right now. Yeah. He's better than she is, but like, low bar.
I will say, so we get to see Regent's base. Yeah. What that reminded me of is that we're seeing Regent managing territory on his own. And that is both a reason and an excuse to have thralls, right? Like, if you are not living with Bitch and Taylor, if you're just Regent, you need more than your taser to hold your territory. Yeah. And so, like,
that's why he needs the group.
Right. Lisa is able, she's got her soldiers, and she's able to, like, use her power to kind of keep them in
she's
line.
Kind of undercover.
But, like Alec can't do it. Like, he would get steamrolled by Senegal he'd get steamrolled by Brooks. Like, he's not going to be able to manage people like that, right?
Right. His power is kind of all he has going for him in that way. Yeah.
But again, reason or excuse. It could go either way.
Yeah. And I think the line is very thin between those two things for him. Yeah. It does make me wonder again about Coil's motivations in separating them, because I think they are so much stronger as a team. And I suspect that Coil doesn't want them to be that strong. But I loved the thing where she was like, oh, you have people now. I can sense these connections. And I was like, oh, there is something real there. Like,
yes.
He thought of it in his interlude. He's like, I mean, we're more like roommates. Like, we're not friends. But, like, there is something there.
Yes. That, to me, was a fist pump moment.
Yes.
Reading it, because...
like, he cares about them.
Right. And we know the way Cherish's power works. Like, it's so fun and detailed when we get her getting into this guard's head and being like, oh, I can kind of tell he's a family man. I mean, he mentioned his daughter, but then she's like kind of rewiring it and thinking about, okay, well, he has these emotions that relate to his fellow soldiers, that relate to his family. And she's able to kind of like twist and turn, but she can perceive those connections to other people, and she needs the people's emotions to manipulate, right? Like, she's incredibly powerful, but she has to work with what's there.
That's true. Right? She has to amplify things that are there.
She's not creating or removing emotions as much as she is exaggerating, twisting,
that seems true,
and like rewiring them. Right? Like, it's not much of a limitation, but it's enough of one that I'm like, oh, this is like a Wildbow version of the power, right? Like, it's like when you're in her head, you see she's doing a lot of work, even though it's so easy, right? But like the way that
the music metaphor was really fun.
Yeah. And the way that, again, because of her personality, she like almost gets herself shot. Like, she's so bad at doing it, right? She's like,
she wasn't actually good at it.
Right. It's like if she slows down, she actually is really, okay, I'll rewire all the parts. Right, she does have the skill,
She
has the skill,
kind
but
of,
she's lazy, right? Or impulsive. Yeah. But anyway, having established that, right, when she sees Regent's connections to people, after having just said how emotionally dulled out he is, right? It's like word of God, right? Like, her superpower says Regent has friends, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I want her to read bitch now.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes me so happy for him, proud of him.
Yeah.
It's like this is something real.
Well, because it doesn't seem like they had that in their family.
Yeah.
Like, they were like working together towards stuff, but...
yeah, she's like, this is new, right?
Yeah.
And of course she immediately uses it to hurt him, because that's how...
yeah, like, what a sibling bond. Someone leaves and it makes your life worse, so you subject them to death by the Slaughterhouse Nine. Like, what a choice.
And it's like, I don't know, like, I'm actually curious. I mean, we started the episode with you kind of saying, Cherish is in over her head, which is like, Alec is right, what he's saying to her at the end, more or less. But I am wondering, because she's so impulsive, it seems like she has a score to settle with Regent, but I almost feel like what she wanted to do was walk up to him and tell him this.
Yeah, good point.
This is the moment she's been building towards.
Right,
and
she doesn't necessarily care about the outcome.
Thinking about what's going to happen next before this point.
Right.
Whereas he's immediately like, okay, you've signed my death warrant, but I think you signed yours a while ago and you haven't realized it. Right, like, that's kind of... fate worse than death warrant.
That's right. I really like in narratives those moments, like the one that she had in the car with the guy, where she's like, yeah, the people I'm staying with, they're the Slaughterhouse Nine. Those moments where you like drop that bomb into the conversation and completely overwhelm everyone's expectations. It's like the moment when someone comes out as a superhero or something.
Yes.
And that is so fun. I feel like that kind of moment in real life is what Cherish is seeking.
Yes. Yeah, and it's the same thing as... like, the way Regent was feeding off of Sophia's emotions as she realizes what he's going to do to her, right? And he's, like, getting off on it. She's doing the exact same kind of emotional vampire thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I also love, it's a really elegant bit of writing. It's not until that moment that we actually get inside Cherish's head. We're in a much more limited third person for the beginning of the chapter. And, we get a little bit from her.
Describing what she's doing, but not really her feelings about that much.
And again, rereading it, it's actually, I don't know how much this is true, but like when she first approaches that guard and she's immediately like, oh, so you think I'm pretty? And he has a tight smile and is like, you're my daughter's age. And there are a couple more beats, and later sort of like Cherish turns away frowning. I almost wonder if that's like she's going for this kind of like honeypot approach, but because he makes the daughter connection, she doesn't have anything to work with.
Yeah.
Like her plan A didn't work. And it's not until they get into the car later that she's like, okay, well, I'll trigger fear, and that's what I'll use, right?
I was thinking that, because when I first read that, I was thinking, oh, her power's not working on him, but she's doing something. Like, her name is Cherish, I know that. She probably makes people like her. And it didn't seem to be working. And then when we got to her exercising her actual power later, I was like, oh, I think she just wanted to see if she could do it without her power.
Oh.
Because she's like a pretty teenage girl. She wants to see if she can pull this off.
I love that even better. Yeah, yeah.
Because her effect on people is so exaggerated. Like, maybe she was doing something small and it didn't work, but I kind of think the other thing.
And oh my God. That's exactly what her damage is, right? You're in this family with this abusive and distant father. She probably has that part of her that like wants attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so she's ignored, she's nothing. And her power gives her the ability to get the attention, but she knows it's fake. Right. And so...
I mean, she literally joined a gang of the worst possible killers, and her goal is to make them like her.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking, like, no wonder Shatterbird hates her. Shatterbird's the, like, recruiter. And I think Cherish did not get recruited. It sounds like she showed up,
That's true.
killed Hatchetface, and was like, hey guys, pick me. Right? Like, it's a wild, wild energy to bring to this whole situation.
I feel like it's not necessarily that she's in over her head and the Slaughterhouse 9 is going to take her down. I think it might just be things aren't going to go in a straightforward manner for the Slaughterhouse 9. Like, I would be so surprised if what happens is they recruit a new member and leave town. Like, that just doesn't seem like, why would they be? Maybe if they recruit Bitch or something, that is a huge effect on the narrative. But, like, I feel like it's going to go in some other direction.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the Slaughterhouse 9 will be, like, eliminated, but I suspect they'll lose multiple members.
Yeah.
And will sort of be in shambles when they leave. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. It's, I mean, we're sort of jumping all around, but I felt like we got so much more Slaughterhouse 9 social dynamics from the Cherish chapter than we've seen before, which is a really fun preview and hopefully a promise of getting more of that kind of thing. But, like, there's sort of, like, factions. We get reinforced kind of, like, Jack's role in leading and pushing the group.
But Bonesaw seems to have a lot of sway.
Bonesaw has a lot of sway, yes.
We learn how they knew about all these people they're approaching.
Uh-huh.
We also learn that Bonesaw's the one who wanted to come here. Really interesting. We haven't seen her yet.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only one we haven't seen. Mm-hmm. We don't know who she's going to recruit, but she was the one who had a really strong reason for being here. Really interesting. Can we talk about the list of epithets?
We've got to.
Okay.
I apologize, listeners, if this is the next 40 minutes of the episode, but we got to talk about it. Yeah, the most fucked up people in Brockton Bay, the emotional outliers.
I mean, fascinating that that's the list. Also, that they're all capes.
Yes. Well, she in particular sought out capes.
Yeah, that makes
there
sense.
Were other people that weren't included, but the final list, I think.
I mean, that makes sense, because it doesn't actually make sense that it would only be capes who feel like that. All right. So we have 8 epithets. The buried girl, obviously Noelle. The arrogant geek, let's say that's Colin. The dog lover, Bitch. The daydreamer, that's Al, Labyrinth. The warlord, Hookwolf. And then we have the scaredy cat, not clear yet. The broken assassin is Oni Lee. And the Crusader. So the Scaredy Cat and the Crusader are the ones that I'm not clear on.
Yeah.
So this is interlude 7. We have one more interlude and we have one more Slaughterhouse 9 member. That means that either there's one person on this list who isn't going to be recruited, or one of these people is Regent, and she did include him. Maybe he's the Scaredy Cat. He's not the Crusader.
I will say the next paragraph makes it pretty clear to me
that he's not in there.
He's not one.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
There is an off by one issue here, for sure.
But it is possible that Theo is one of them. Or Purity.
Interesting.
Because Jack Slash went after Oni Lee, was like, oh, that failed. Maybe there was an extra name on the list, and he's like, I'll just go after that one. Because maybe she gave him an extra...
Jack Slash. Yeah. He's like, I'll take 2.
Yeah. I mean, he's the leader. He can do that. And it was unclear in his chapter if he was aiming for Theo or if he was aiming for Purity and just got Theo.
Yeah.
Theo could be the scaredy cat or the crusader.
Yeah.
Purity is not the scaredy cat. Purity could be the crusader. Yeah. She does have this sort of mission-mindedness. Yeah. Theo is the one who's like, people like you, I'd kill. And he thinks he's going to get powers. He's going to do this thing. Maybe Cherish saw that in him. But he's also, like, he spent most of the chapter terrified. I mean, he had reason to be terrified. I don't know if that really makes him a scaredy cat. But yeah, so those are the two names we're not sure about. Either one could be Theo.
Yeah.
So that means that either one could be our last person.
Yeah.
Tragically, I'm not sure either of them fits Panacea really well. I really wanted her to be one of them.
Okay.
But
well,
maybe.
Could you sell her as
I would say she's the crusader. I don't know that she's the scaredy cat. Maybe she's scared to step out of her family situation. We don't know her secret. Maybe there's a thing she's afraid of. Could be. Crusader, I mean, she does spend a lot of time trying to save people. I'm not sure Crusader is quite the right description, but could be. I do think Bonesaw is a tinker. We've seen a lot of matches of people with similar powers going after similar powers. So that wouldn't really fit. But since Bonesaw, it's the name kind of a doctor inverted, like her approaching Panacea has a thematic connection anyway. So I still like that. And like I said, Panacea could be one of these names. Taylor could also be a crusader. I don't think she's a scaredy cat. I don't see any connection between Bonesaw's power and Taylor's, though, to be fair, I don't know what Bonesaw does with her power. I just know that she's a tinker, which, like, tinker...
She's a bit of an artist.
Controlling bugs. Yeah, is Taylor an artist with her bugs? Like, unclear. I don't see that connection as strongly. I do think it would be super fun, now that we have precedent, to have an interlude from Bonesaw's perspective as she interacts with Taylor.
Yeah.
Incredible. It's like, I have to assume it's not going to be Taylor narrating the interlude, because that wouldn't really be an interlude, though, Wildbow can do whatever he wants, so could be. That doesn't seem very likely.
We get a Taylor interlude, and then it's a new main character for the rest of the story. She just gets demoted.
Well, she just gets killed by Bonesaw.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. So this is our list of 8. I do feel like I've matched up most of them. We only have 3 potential recruits still. Well,
Correct.
Not still. We have a new one this chapter. Bitch, Hookwolf, and Regent. Unfortunately, 2 of them are undersiders.
But according to the rules, they're all going to be targeted, right?
Well, not all of them were even invited.
I guess the question is, like, will Crawler, for example, go home and be like, well, I couldn't talk to her? Or will he go home and they'll be like, okay, so what are we going to do to test her? Right? Like,
Yeah. Well, I feel like some of them just didn't have that intention. Like, Jack, it doesn't seem like, is going to try to test. He already presented Theo with his test, and I don't think he's doing anything with Purity. And, like, it doesn't seem like Burnscar is trying to pull Labyrinth into this.
Maybe it is just Noelle is the one who feels like still might be in the mix. Yeah.
Potentially, but if they can't get to her, how are they going to test her?
Right. And we're assuming that Colin is still hospitalized and in the middle of his losing his 9 lives. Like, we don't know exactly how much time passed. It seemed like
a lot of time passed in that last bit of his interlude.
Certainly days. Could have been a lot longer.
Right. And this is all still the same night. There are fires across town.
Yeah.
I think whatever goes down in the next arc is going to go down relatively fast. I'm really excited because I do think even if Bitch doesn't get the Undersiders together about this, Regent will. Mm-hmm. And then, when are they going to find out that Bitch was already recruited? Mm-hmm. Bitch probably isn't just going to be forthcoming with that information. So that's going to be weird and destabilizing.
I love it.
I'm really worried that Bitch is going to go off with them. That would be so tragic.
Yeah.
Hookwolf is the only one who's been nominated so far that I want to be recruited. I don't want Panacea to join them.
No.
I don't want Taylor to join them.
No.
It's possible that the Scaredy Cat and or the Crusader is someone I haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah. Well, like you said, then the Slaughterhouse 9 just have to lose really hard.
Well, I want them to lose really hard. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Seems difficult. They're a pretty intense bunch.
Every member of the Slaughterhouse 9 that we've seen has been just incredibly effective. Like, either they've had an excellent power or they've been Jack Slash.
Yeah. Perfectly said.
Yeah, so they're going to be real tough to take down. And I don't think they're going to be, like, fully taken down, but I want them to be knocked down.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they will be.
I like your pitch for it. You know, we'll see.
The Undersiders are very effective.
Yeah. When they're together. And, you know, Bitch will sort of be with them, maybe. Yeah, at the very least, we know that Alec is not at all interested or on board.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he thinks it's deeply stupid and that it would result in death. Yeah, I'm just bummed about him. I want him to be redeemed.
Yeah, and
there's time. Things can still happen.
Yeah. It is very upsetting. It's funny the way they're playing tug of war with the thralls. But then you keep getting these beats.
Their fight was so funny.
Yeah. It's great because it's completely it's completely like visually inert. It's two teenagers standing across a room from each other while they like concentrate really hard on these people who are also not moving.
Also, they're torturing those people.
Yes.
Like,
that's
awful.
That's the point that I was trying to make to begin with. It's like, and of course, Cherish, again, like Alec, no empathy for other people, right?
None.
Like, all of the awful things that she does to people in this chapter, she doesn't stop for a second to think or reflect.
I think that soldier from the beginning is dead, and I'm really bummed about it.
Yeah.
I want to believe that he could still be alive, but
maybe he successfully killed those first two soldiers.
That's also really bad.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, there's not really a lot of hope for him, is there? Maybe they shot him, but not fatally, and he can be healed.
Yeah, I guess, right, if she's not around, he will go back to normal, presumably.
It's not a long-lasting thing.
Yeah. But yeah, their whole, like, the sibling dynamic is so funny, right? It evolves into a slap fight, right? And as much as Cherish wants to be cool and have the upper hand, like, it's not a good look.
No.
The way that this all turns out for her.
No. And that's why I feel like she's, you know, her power is intense, but as a person, she's kind of lightweight.
Yeah.
And she has sort of this grand ambition, but it's sort of like a, you know, kid wanting to play with toys. She doesn't consider the stakes of anything very carefully. Like, she almost gets herself blown up in this chapter just because her phone ran out of battery. Like, this is not a person with good long-term plans.
Well, how do you feel like her, you know, dosing the rest of the 9 is working or will work out? Like, do you kind of...
Well, I don't like her yet.
Do you see that going somewhere in particular?
Well, no, I just kind of feel like... It's an interesting question because now I feel like I should. I don't think that she's going to have the time she thinks she does because I think
this is all going to play out over a few days.
Right.
And she's not going to have 2 weeks
yeah.
to actually make, you know, Crawler in love with her or whatever.
Right. And they don't like her now. I mean, not necessarily all of them, but they don't really want her. Like, members of the Slaughterhouse 9 fight each other all the time. Like, they might be eager to sacrifice her.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to survive this visit to Brockton Bay.
That's too bad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Not going to have a, you know, like Jack versus Cherish schism, the Slaughterhouse 4 versus the Slaughterhouse 5. And then
no, Jack's control is way too good.
Against them. Yeah. We haven't even talked about that like, their name is also a, like, reference, right? With all of their, like Shatterbird and Jack and Siberian, though she would never say it to anyone else, like, their philosophical, high-minded, like, showiness, right? Oh, we're not just the Slaughterhouse 5. We're Slaughterhouse 9. You know, like,
no, it's true.
We're named after a book. You know? We're not just evil, but we're well-read.
Evil and literate. Yeah, I mean, Jack seems like he reads.
Yeah. He reads, like, People magazine.
No, I feel like he reads, like, books and then, like... Because he's really fascinated by character motivations, so he would read, like, Tolstoy and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I should give him... It's just tough for me to take him seriously because of the way he looks.
Incidentally, I keep... Every time you say cherish, I hear it as cherish, like, kind of like a chair.
I do want to say, I feel like I struggled to articulate in the Hookwolf chapter the ways in which getting his perspective was like a letdown. I feel like Cherish's perspective is really good and satisfying in a way that Hookwolf's was boring.
Yeah,
right? Because she's having so much fun throughout, and she's feeling confident and stuff, but you have all these context clues to put together, like, oh, like, this is how she's delusional, this is how she's overconfident, right? This is how she's not seeing things as clearly. Yeah. And so, like, there just wasn't an interesting hook, ironically, into who Hookwolf is. Yeah,
I don't feel like we got a lot of new insight.
Yeah.
Maybe the thing about where he's bitter about not being a great warrior.
Yeah, but that also, like, maybe it's just because that's it feels so tropey, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. But anyway, it's not his chapter. We talked about him for long enough. But I do want to highlight that, like, when the interludes are good, they're good in this way. And I feel like this chapter has a lot of what the Hookwolf one was lacking.
You know who she reminded me of in terms of her behavior and attitude? Glory Girl.
Yeah.
I feel like the voice was similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sort of the casual, like, I have a lot of power and I'm throwing it around. Oh, I did that thing wrong. Darn it. Like, okay, that guy got mortally wounded. Sister, help save me. Like...
That's actually pretty funny, because the chapters almost have the same structure too, where, like, teenage girl, like, fucks up a guy and then runs into a sibling.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, probably coincidence, but, like, I don't know, could Glory Girl be the Crusader? I don't think it makes as much sense to recruit her as it does to recruit Amy, who's, like, really struggling with the burden of her power.
Right. Who's more emotionally unstable, Victoria or Amy?
I feel like it's gotta be Amy. I haven't seen much of Amy in a while. But, like, I mean, I predicted early on that, like, she would make a good villain.
Yeah.
Like, villainy would be a really good refuge for her.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Slaughterhouse 9 saw the same thing. I think that's why I'm clinging so hard to her being the last interlude.
We'll see.
It's probably someone I totally forgot about, like how I forgot about Dinah and all of the Travelers repeatedly.
Yeah, I mean, this whole game she's playing where she only has stolen possessions, right?
She just, like, doesn't have anything to live for except, like, shallow interests.
Right. But it's like, it parallels her power with, like, the limited long-term effectiveness, right? The fact that she doesn't... True. The fact that she almost gets herself shot, the fact that she almost blows herself up with the bomb, it's all the kind of same, like, her power wears off really quickly if she's not just, like, moving to the next high. She's... Right? Like... It also kind of fits thematically with what you're saying of, like, she's not going to have the time to actually carry out this long plan. It's like she can't even get through, this chapter without almost making several short-sighted errors. Yeah, I was thinking, like, when she's using her power, she ends up using fear to overwhelm the guard, which reminded me a lot of the role that fear played in her upbringing.
Yeah.
Regent's upbringing. It's something that they have in common in their interludes. I really enjoy having a villain opposed to Taylor that seems to have Taylor's level of perception at range.
Oh,
right? She's, I think, actually
really
stronger than Taylor at this one thing that Taylor is really good at.
Is really, yeah.
So the fact that she just, like, surveyed the city and picked people out. On the other hand, you were saying Taylor could be the Crusader, but do you think she is one of the top 10 most emotionally fucked up people in Brockton Bay?
That really doesn't seem likely.
Yeah. Because I think that's where, that's maybe the thing that cuts against that, is, like, if this was their method, it kind of makes sense to me. Yeah. If you're on a team with Bitch and Regent.
Right, you're
just not going to register.
Right, exactly. And I do feel like Amy could be. Like, I think she is really burdened, really stressed by all of this. I think Sophia could be, but I don't think she's in town anymore.
Does she fit either of the names?
No. Absolutely not. Not in any way. What if... No, she's not in Brockton Bay. I was going to say, what if one of them was Emma?
Yeah.
But she's not here.
Yeah. There was an interesting beat. It's easier for her to manipulate the soldiers who can't see her when she's approaching Regent's warehouse, right? She's able to get them all to kill themselves faster when they are not worried and distracted by an enemy, right? So again, it's so telling that she likes to get up close when she could be more effective, without actually seeing the results of her actions.
That's a really good point.
Did you have any thoughts about her perspective on Brockton Bay? People here being so deliciously fucked up and on the brink.
I feel like it's what we've been seeing over and over again.
It's our book 2 theme of what happens to the city when it's this broken.
Post-trauma, yeah. Which is why it's really bad that the next Endbringer is coming here too.
And again, the moment with the guard,
as if I know.
The guard being like, thrill seekers, like, that's disrespectful, right? And he's so clearly, like you were saying, he's a good guy, right? Like the things that we get about him, he's like, he's a family man.
I love him.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like, it's just, we have a lot of instances where for Taylor, she's dealing with people who the narrative goes out of the way to make sure we know that they're awful. And then when she brings down righteous bug violence on them, we don't feel as bad about it. And this is just the opposite of that. Yeah. Where it, like, goes out of the way to make sure that we know this soldier is a good
guy.
man.
Yeah. Not willing to flirt with the teenage girl, but willing to get her home safely. Cares about his family. Thinks it's disrespectful to be like a thrill seeker in the town.
Oh man, the other thing, again, I love this detail. She clocks that Regent has a little scepter. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know it's a taser.
Right.
And she's like, well, I can see that he wants it, and that's enough for me not to let him have it. And then at the end, she jumps out of the way and avoids getting stabbed with the gold-painted stick. The level to which she is completely unaware that she almost got tased is just very, very illustrative
what if she
of who
had
she is.
Been? Oh. And then I don't know what he would have done with her. Maybe taken her under his control.
As she disarms the bomb for another 15 minutes, she feels a touch relieved.
I wonder if the people Regent is controlling are Coil employees. I kind of think they probably are. Like, probably Coil was like, yeah, this is a tough gig. We can rotate people through.
How did that make you feel about Alec?
A little better that he's at least doing it with consent, even if the consent is maybe happening and it's dubcon at best. But yeah, people who sign on for this for employment reasons.
Well, no, right, but he doesn't have Cherish and his other siblings around to keep them in line overnight. And this is presumably a long-term gig that he has solved. Right.
So he could have them lock themselves up at night.
Right.
I guess. But it makes more sense if these are willing thralls.
Right. Okay. So we'll see. We might get more information. That's an interesting theory.
Or he might have hired them directly, even if they're not Coil employees. Because Coil did say something about, like, you guys can do your own staff.
We have not talked at all about Sherry and Jean-Paul's background.
They're Quebecois. It seems like their father has sort of the same problem they do. Not good at long-term planning.
Yeah.
Life feels kind of empty. Gonna go pick up a movie star.
Yeah.
Gets in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to build something, but what he's trying to build is not something that's actually satisfying on an emotional level. It's that problem of, like, too much of the thing that, everyone kind of wants, of, like, people to, like, love you and adore you and think but it's not actually good for you to have that just, like, unconditional adoration, especially when it's manufactured.
Yeah. I loved the teeny tiny glimpses we get of the other Vasile sibling powers. Guillaume just has to touch someone and he can sense everything they do for a good while.
That's fun.
Literally thousands of eyes and ears following her. And so he gets the voyeurism of Regent's power without the control.
Yes.
And Nicholas,
but, like, much more broad,
just wallops you with pants-shitting waves of terror.
It's kind of blunt, a blunt weapon.
Yeah. Again, the situation is awful, but with this thing that we have with, like, family powers all being related, it's so fun to just see Wildbow go back to the well of, like, what if Heartbreaker but? And getting to, like, move the sliders in different directions.
Right.
And kind of
Sherry really got a good selection.
Yeah.
It's also such a sad statement about heroes, societal priorities, and also felt very real that Heartbreaker's up there doing this thing with women. It's not like people don't know. Like, Taylor recognized the name Heartbreaker. She knew what he was doing. But the heroes didn't go after him until he kidnapped someone famous.
Yeah.
Like, he kidnapped a movie star, so they had to all,
And that's almost what Cherish is saying. Like, he could have gotten away with his abuse indefinitely if he hadn't screwed up in this obvious...
He should have been smart,
It's the optics thing.
The optics, right?
Yeah, and I guess Heartbreaker and this family do seem to be kind of like a looming threat. Or it's like there's this potential of,
there's so many of them who can control people.
Each other.
Yeah.
Of course, he's probably more than a few days away. So, like, it's not like it's an imminent threat. But
right.
I will say the moment when she doses the guards and gets them to kill themselves is another really good example of Wildbow writing effective, shocking violence, where it just in a few sentences effectively carries you through it and just makes you feel, that kind of awful shocked feeling.
Yeah.
Just like when Mannequin is disemboweling Colin. Like, it's that same kind of feeling. Oh, I love that Cherish's alias is just her name.
Yeah.
That is another, this is who this girl is, right? It's so funny.
And it's also what she wants.
Something clicked for me. Alec is like, I remember how your body works. And I'm realizing the reason he gets more effective over time is because every body has a nervous system, but that we're all wired up incredibly uniquely because of how we developed.
Right.
And there's also the parallel to Cherish's power with manipulating actually brain chemistry and emotions. Hers is also neurologically based, even though she thinks about it in
she has
musical
this
terms.
Image. Yeah.
I do want to pitch one thing about Regent. We'll have to come back to this later, keep our eye on it. Cherish thinks it was good to see she could provoke him, get a response out of him. Was that because she'd done it well? Or had he gotten more emotional as of late? He ran his fingers through his hair. He does this twice in this chapter. Ooh. He does it when she first shows up. And that's the thing he does when he makes his grand entrance with Shadowstalker, revealing that he is puppeting her. He runs, both of them run their fingers through their hair.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this is a tell of him feeling something. I don't know exactly what it is. Is it just something he does when he's anxious? Or it's very interesting for me to think about. But it's paired right here, and it comes up twice in the chapter. So
we're going to have to keep an eye on it.
We'll have to keep an eye on it. The last thing I want to say is the song lyrics. Not a real song. So my headcanon is this is a Canary song.
Of course. Wow. Everyone who watches her sing that must love her so much.
As far as I know, it's only in this chapter. I don't remember it, but I was like, it fits. It fits.
Nice.
So, do you have any other predictions?
I think I've made my predictions.
Well, would you like to do some cape names?
Sure.
Ravager.
Wow, sounds like a former member of the Slaughterhouse-9. Ravager could just, mess up people's organs from a distance.
Okay. Carnal.
I feel like that's gotta be one of Heartbreaker's kids. Someone who inspires lust.
Murder Rat.
Murder Rat. Probably not one of Heartbreaker's kids. This also sounds like a former Slaughterhouse-9 member. Maybe it's someone who can actually transform into a rat, but a rat who can hold a knife.
A rat with a knife?
Yeah.
Mouse Protector.
Mouse Protector. That's the hero version of Murder Rat.
Interesting.
They were mortal enemies, and they killed each other in a simultaneous stabbing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does Mouse Protector hold?
A tiny sword.
A tiny sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's adorable. I can't wait to meet them or visit their graves. The first sentence of the next interlude starts with a character's name. Would you like to guess what that name is?
I want it to be Amy.
Amy sat on her bed staring at the piece
of paper. I don't know. She sat in her bed. Interesting. Okay.
All right, what's she doing? What's going to happen?
She's going to get a visit from Bonesaw.
And
Bonesaw's going to try to recruit her, and Amy's going to try to run away, probably, because she's going to try to get Glory Girl involved, and I bet Glory Girl will show up.
Okay.
And that'll get messy.
It'll get messy. Okay.
We'll find out Amy's secret.
Yeah. Any last guesses?
Is she the Crusader or the Scaredy Cat? Let's see. I think she's a Scaredy Cat, because she actually has a lot more power to heal people's brains than she is using, and she's just afraid to use it. In part because she knows if she did use it, she'd be even more in demand than she is.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll find out.
Next time.
On Inchworm. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.